Preface: Whispers of a Shattered World. The shadow of NYX still loomed large. The scars, both physical and emotional, from their desperate struggle against the Obsidian Order remained etched upon Vikram and Aditi. Yet, amidst the wreckage, a spark of hope flickered, a newfound understanding of the ancient jewels entrusted to their care. This is a chronicle of a world teetering on the precipice of recovery. The whispers of a forgotten past, carried on the wind and etched in crumbling stone, reveal the legend of 5 celestial jewels and their chosen guardians. Each jewel, imbued with a unique power, holds the key to restoring balance and banishing the darkness that lingers at the edges of their world. Our journey begins with Vikram and Aditi, battered but not broken. As they seek refuge and answers within the forgotten halls of an ancient temple, they stumble upon fragments of a forgotten lore. Here, in the hushed whispers of the past, the names of the Chintamani, Nagamani, and Neelam rise from the shadows, hinting at their hidden abilities. With each stolen glance into the past and every tentative experiment with their stone's power, Vikram and Aditi inch closer to unraveling the true potential they hold. But this journey is fraught with peril. Each jewel, while a vessel of immense power, comes with its own set of challenges and limitations. The burden of wielding a wish-granting wonder, the treacherous allure of manipulating serpents, or the sheer responsibility of commanding the elements, these are just some of the obstacles that lie in wait. Their path will not be a solitary one. Kolkata, with its bustling streets and hidden mysteries, will be the first step on their quest. It is here they will encounter Aditya, the melancholic guardian of the Chintamani, forever grappling with the ethical dilemmas his wish-granting emerald presents. Together, they must prove their worth, overcoming trials that test their skills and resourcefulness, while simultaneously navigating the treacherous terrain of trust and betrayal. The search for the remaining guardians will take them far and wide. From the vibrant spice markets and ancient temples of Nagarkoila to the breathtaking majesty of the Zanskar region in the Himalayas, each stop will bring them face-to-face with a new guardian and a unique challenge. Shesha, the cunning manipulator of the Nagamani, and Kanika, the stoic warrior wielding the power of the Neelam, will each bring their own strengths and complexities to the table. As the guardians unite, their combined power becomes a beacon of hope in a world teetering on the brink of darkness. Yet, NYX and the Obsidian Order remain a constant threat. Whispers of their growing influence and power echo across the land, and a final confrontation seems inevitable. This is the story of the Guardians of Power, a story of resilience, self-discovery, and the unyielding spirit that binds them together. Are they strong enough to withstand the rising tide of darkness? Can the combined might of the 5 jewels, wielded by worthy guardians, banish the shadows and usher in a new era of peace? Turn the page, dear reader, and embark on a thrilling adventure where the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Chapter 1: Bruised and Battered. The air hung heavy with the stench of dust and decay. Vikram stumbled through the shattered remnants of the ancient tomb, his body racked with pain. A deep gash bled sluggishly down his arm, a souvenir from the Obsidian leader's obsidian blade. Beside him, Aditi limped, her face pale and drawn. Her usually vibrant eyes were clouded with exhaustion and a flicker of fear. The battle in the tomb had been a whirlwind of darkness and desperate struggle. The Obsidian leader, shrouded in a shadowy cloak, wielded her blade with chilling precision. Vikram, fueled by adrenaline and the Samantaka Mani's fiery power, had clashed with her head-on. The ruby pulsed with a red glow, deflecting some blows but screaming in protest against the dark magic that infused the Obsidian leader's weapon. Aditi, ever the quick-witted one, used the Chandrakanta's power to cloak them in illusions, momentarily disorienting their attacker. They scrambled deeper into the tomb's labyrinthine passages, the air thick with the whispers of long-dead pharaohs. The rasping breath of the Obsidian leader echoed through the dusty corridors, drawing ever closer. Just as they reached a dead end, Vikram spotted a hidden passage, barely visible beneath a crumbling inscription. With a surge of desperation, he shoved Aditi through the narrow opening, following her just as the Obsidian leader burst into the chamber. A guttural snarl escaped her lips as she realized her prey had escaped. The passage was a tight squeeze, the rough stone scraping against their skin. Dust swirled around them, choking their coughs. With each agonizing crawl, they prayed for an escape, the pounding of their hearts a frantic drumbeat against the oppressive silence. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the passage opened into a hidden chamber. Moonlight streamed through a narrow crack in the ceiling, illuminating a tunnel that sloped upwards. Relief flooded Vikram as he hauled himself out, pulling Aditi behind him. They clambered through the tunnel, the cool night air a balm to their aching bodies. As dawn painted the sky with streaks of pink and orange, they reached the surface, collapsing on the sand, the vast desert stretching before them in an unsettling silence. They had escaped, for now. But the victory tasted like ash in their mouths. The Obsidian leader was relentless, and they knew their journey had just begun. The stolen glances between them spoke volumes of unspoken worry, what other guardians awaited them, and what dangers lurked in the shadows on their path to assemble the 5 jewels. With a newfound resolve hardening their gazes, Vikram and Aditi rose, the Syamantaka Mani and the Chandrakanta pulsing with a faint but determined light, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. Chapter 2: Whispers of the Past. The relentless desert sun beat down on Vikram and Aditi, their parched lips cracking and sweat stinging their eyes. They stumbled into the ruins of an ancient temple, a mirage shimmering in the distance moments before, now a stark reality. Sand, whipped by the wind into a relentless dance, coated the weathered sandstone walls. Once vibrant murals, depicting scenes of forgotten rituals and deities, were bleached a pale ghost by the relentless sun. Yet, amidst the decay, a sense of forgotten grandeur lingered, a whisper of a bygone era where gods and guardians walked the earth. Exhausted from their harrowing escape from the Obsidian Order, Vikram and Aditi collapsed beneath a crumbling archway. The Syamantaka Mani, its ruby heart burning brightly against Vikram's chest, pulsed in a counterpoint to the cool, calming light of the Chandrakanta nestled on Aditi's palm. Though their bodies ached, their minds buzzed with questions. The inscription on the tomb wall, etched into their memory like a brand, spoke of 5 jewels, each imbued with immense power, entrusted to guardians scattered across the vast tapestry of India. But where did they begin? As they rested, their eyes, scanning the remnants of the temple, caught a glimpse of a hidden chamber nestled within its crumbling heart. A flicker of curiosity flickered in their eyes, a welcome distraction from the gnawing pain in their limbs. Mustering the last vestiges of their strength, they crawled through a narrow passage, their heads brushing against cobwebs that clung like spectral fingers. Dust motes danced in the dim light that filtered through a crack in the ceiling, illuminating the chamber in an otherworldly glow. Unlike the rest of the temple, ravaged by time and neglect, this chamber seemed untouched. Its walls, polished to an almost reflective sheen, were adorned with vibrant murals that pulsed with an otherworldly life. Painted in a style both ancient and enchanting, the murals depicted 5 figures, each holding a glowing jewel. One, resplendent in crimson robes, held a ruby that pulsated with fiery energy, a promise of raw power. Another, cloaked in sapphire blue, clutched a cool, blue gem that seemed to shimmer with the promise of illusions. The remaining figures bore emeralds, yellow pearls and a final one, an amethyst that pulsed with a mesmerizing lilac light. Below each figure, strange symbols swirled in intricate patterns. These symbols, alien yet strangely familiar, seemed to vibrate with a subtle unseen energy, beckoning Vikram and Aditi closer. A sense of awe descended upon them, the weight of history pressing down on their shoulders. These murals depicted the very jewels they sought, the five guardians, their only hope against the encroaching darkness. Vikram, his voice raspy from dehydration, traced the inscription beneath the emerald figure. A jolt of energy ran through him, a fleeting vision of a tranquil garden bathed in emerald light, its air humming with an otherworldly energy. Could this be a clue to the location of the Chintamani's guardian? Excitement crackled in the air, dispelling the oppressive silence of the chamber. Their escape from the tomb had been a close call, but here, amidst the whispers of the past, a new hope bloomed. They weren't alone. Guardians existed, and they had a map, though cryptic, to find them. The weight of the quest still pressed heavily on their shoulders, but with newfound resolve, Vikram and Aditi rose from the chamber. The setting sun cast long shadows across the desolate landscape, but the path ahead, though uncertain, seemed a little brighter. The quest for the five jewels had truly begun. Chapter 3: A Glimpse of Power. The flickering flames of a dying campfire cast flickering shadows on the walls of their makeshift camp within the temple ruins. Vikram and Aditi, their bodies finally beginning to heal after their ordeal, huddled close for warmth. The events of the past few days played on their minds, the brutal fight with the Obsidian leader, the cryptic inscription, and the breathtaking murals depicting the five jewels. But tonight, a different kind of curiosity gnawed at them. The Syamantaka Mani and the Chandrakanta, these stones entrusted to them, pulsed with a faint inner light, a constant reminder of their extraordinary power. A shared look passed between them, unspoken questions hanging in the air. What exactly could these stones do? Vikram, ever the impulsive one, was the first to act. He cupped the Syamantaka Mani in his palm, its ruby heart glowing brighter in response to his touch. Focusing all his energy, he visualized a shield, a wall of fire to protect them from any lurking danger. A surge of heat emanated from the stone, and for a fleeting moment, a shimmering red aura surrounded them, crackling with energy. But just as quickly, the aura flickered and died, leaving behind a faint warmth on the stone's surface. Disappointment clouded Vikram's face. The fiery defense he envisioned felt more like a flickering candle than a raging inferno. Aditi, ever the pragmatist, placed a hand on his shoulder. Perhaps the stone's power depends on our own strength, she suggested gently. We need to learn to control it, to channel our will. Taking a deep breath, Aditi lifted the Chandrakanta to the moonlight filtering through the ruined roof. The white diamond shimmered with an ethereal glow. Closing her eyes, she focused on a small desert flower they had seen earlier that day, its delicate petals already withering in the harsh heat. As she pictured the flower in her mind, a cool, refreshing dew seemed to condense on the Chandrakanta's surface. Opening her eyes, she held the stone out towards the wilting flower. A single drop of dew dripped from the diamond, landing on the parched petals. Slowly, miraculously, the flower began to revive, its colors returning and its stem straightening. A gasp escaped Vikram's lips. The power of the Chandrakanta was subtle but undeniable. As the night deepened, they continued their experiments, each tentative discovery revealing the limitations and potential of their stones. They learned that the Syamantaka Mani's power, while formidable, required focus and control. The Chandrakanta, on the other hand, seemed more attuned to healing and manipulating the natural world. Though their understanding was far from complete, a newfound respect for the stones blossomed within them. These weren't mere trinkets, they were extensions of themselves, powerful tools that needed to be mastered. With each passing moment, the weight of their quest felt not just daunting, but exhilarating. They weren't just guardians, they were learning to wield the very forces of nature. The path ahead remained shrouded in mystery, but with the power of the stones pulsing within them, Vikram and Aditi felt a surge of courage. they were ready to face whatever came next. Chapter 4. The search begins. The first rays of dawn painted the crumbling temple ruins in a soft, rose-gold light. Vikram and Aditi, their bodies still aching from their ordeal, emerged from their makeshift camp, the weight of the previous night's discoveries settling upon them. The experiments with the Samantaka money and the Chandrakanta had been both exhilarating and exhausting. The stones pulsed with a raw power, a potential that both terrified and excited them. They were no longer just travelers, they were guardians, entrusted with a power they barely understood. Fueled by newfound purpose, they retraced their steps towards the hidden chamber. The murals, bathed in the morning light, seemed to come alive. The vibrant colors, the intricate details, they held a message waiting to be deciphered. But it was the inscription beneath the emerald figure that truly drew their eyes. Vikram, his fingers tracing the strange symbols, recalled Gupta's words, the old bookseller's voice echoing in his memory. With a jolt of clarity, he recognized the symbols, an ancient script detailing the guardians and their jewels. Together, with Aditi by his side, they painstakingly deciphered the inscription. It spoke of the Chintamani, the emerald jewel that whispered promises of granting wishes and glimpses of the future. But more importantly, it revealed the location of its guardian, a secluded temple atop a hidden hill outside the bustling city of Kolkata. A wave of excitement washed over them, a feeling like unearthing a buried treasure. Their journey, shrouded in uncertainty just yesterday, now had a destination, a vibrant metropolis teeming with millions, a chaotic tapestry of history and modernity. The inscription, however, wasn't just a roadmap. It served as a warning too. It spoke of the guardian of the Chintamani, not just as a protector, but as a riddle master, one who tested the hearts and intentions of those seeking the jewel's power. A shiver ran down Aditi's spine. This wouldn't be a straightforward quest. It required not just brute strength, a quality Vikram possessed in abundance, but also wit, cunning, and the ability to navigate the complexities of a human city far removed from the desolate silence of the desert they'd just left behind. As they packed their meager supplies, a sense of trepidation warred with excitement within them. Kolkata, with its labyrinthine alleyways and cacophony of sounds, seemed a daunting prospect. Yet, the fear was eclipsed by a newfound resolve. They weren't just travelers anymore. They were guardians, chosen to wield this ancient power and restore balance to the world. With a silent exchange of determined glances, Vikram and Aditi stepped out of the crumbling ruins. The sun, now higher in the sky, cast long shadows across the arid landscape. Their journey to Kolkata, the first test on their path to reuniting the 5 jewels, had begun. The fate of the world, still a mystery, felt a little closer within their grasp, carried not just by their courage, but also by the pulsating power of the stones nestled against their chests. Chapter 5. City of Joy and Mystery. The relentless desert sun had given way to the chaotic symphony of Kolkata. Vikram and Aditi, stepping off the rickety train, were assaulted by a cacophony of sounds and smells. Honking rickshaws weaved through throngs of people, their calls a relentless melody blending with the rhythmic chants emanating from hidden temples. The air, thick with the aroma of spices and frying street food, hung heavy in the humid air. It was a world away from the desolate silence of the temple ruins, a pulsating organism teeming with life. Excitement and apprehension warred within them. Kolkata, also known as the City of Joy, was a vibrant tapestry of history and modernity. Crumbling colonial buildings stood shoulder to shoulder with gleaming skyscrapers, narrow alleyways teeming with vendors hawking their wares snaked past serene temples adorned with intricate carvings. This city, a kaleidoscope of sights and sounds, was where they would find Aditya, the enigmatic guardian of the Chintamani. Their search began in the heart of the bustling metropolis, guided by Gupta's cryptic note. It mentioned a hidden heaven nestled amidst towering bookstalls and overflowing spice shops. Navigating the labyrinthine streets was a chaotic dance, dodging darting rickshaws, weaving through throngs of people draped in colorful saris and lungis, their senses overwhelmed by the cacophony around them. After what felt like an eternity, they stumbled upon a seemingly inconspicuous bookstore tucked away in a forgotten corner. Its faded crimson curtain, barely visible beneath layers of dust, served as the entrance. Inside, the air hung heavy with the comforting scent of aged paper and leather-bound tomes. Towering shelves crammed with countless books, their spines cracked and faded with time, lined the walls. An old man, his beard a cascade of silver strands reaching his chest, sat behind a cluttered desk. His eyes, like pools of deep brown, held an ageless wisdom that seemed to pierce through their weary souls. As Vikram recounted their harrowing escape from the Obsidian Order and their quest for the Guardians, the old man listened intently, a flicker of recognition playing across his weathered face when he heard about the 5 jewels. The weight of the past seemed to press down on the dusty bookstore. With a sigh that carried the weight of ages, the old man reached behind his desk and retrieved a worn leather scroll. As he unfurled it, revealing intricate symbols and faded diagrams, the scent of ancient parchment filled the air, carrying with it the whispers of forgotten lore. The revelation that followed would change their course. The guardian they sought, Aditya, wasn't hidden in the heart of the city, but resided in a secluded temple perched atop a hidden hill on the outskirts. This bustling metropolis, a sensory overload unlike anything they'd experienced, had served as a gateway, leading them one step closer to their goal. As they stepped back out into the throngs of people, the city lights twinkling like scattered jewels against the darkening sky, Vikram and Aditi knew their journey was just beginning. Kolkata, with its chaotic charm and hidden secrets, had become the first chapter in their extraordinary quest. Chapter 6: The Burden of Wishes. Following the cryptic map revealed on the ancient scroll, Vikram and Aditi navigated the maze of Kolkata's outskirts. The city's cacophony faded behind them, replaced by the chirping of crickets and the rustling of unseen creatures in the undergrowth. The air, cool and fragrant with night jasmine, carried the distant rumble of the approaching monsoon. Their path led them through verdant hills shrouded in the inky blackness of a moonless night. As they climbed, burdened by their meager supplies and the weight of their quest, doubt gnawed at the edges of their determination. The inscription on the scroll had hinted at a hidden temple, but the darkness seemed to swallow them whole, offering no solace, no sign of their destination. Exhaustion finally forced them to seek refuge beneath a sprawling banyan tree. Its ancient branches formed a protective canopy overhead, offering a sliver of comfort in the vastness of the night. As they shared a meager meal of flatbread and dried fruit, a shooting star streaked across the inky sky, leaving a fleeting trail of silver light. Aditi gasped, pointing excitedly. "A sign," she exclaimed, her voice filled with hope. Inspired by her optimism, Vikram reached for the Samantaka money tucked around his neck. He closed his eyes, focusing on the ruby's fiery glow. A surge of energy coursed through him, and a strange sensation washed over him, a glimpse into the near future. He saw themselves, bathed in the soft light of a full moon, walking along a path that led up a verdant hill. His eyes snapped open, his heart pounding. "Aditi," he said, his voice urgent, "I saw it. The path leading to the temple. The full moon is tonight." Hope rekindled in their eyes. With renewed vigor, they packed their supplies and set off, guided by Vikram's vision and the faint light of the stars. The path, barely discernible in the darkness, snaked through a dense grove of trees. Crickets chirped, and unseen nocturnal creatures rustled in the undergrowth, their sounds adding to the airy atmosphere. After what felt like an eternity, the trees began to thin, revealing a breathtaking vista. The sky was awash with the ethereal glow of a newly risen full moon, bathing the landscape in a silvery light. Before them lay a winding path, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly luminescence, leading upwards towards a majestic temple perched atop the hill. A wave of awe washed over them. This wasn't just a temple, it was a beacon, calling out to them. But as they drew closer, a sense of unease settled in Vikram's chest. The temple gates were open, and a lone figure stood silhouetted against the moonlit sky. As they approached, the figure turned, revealing an old man with a kind but melancholic face. His eyes, the color of twilight, held a wisdom that spoke of ages spent contemplating the universe's secrets. "Welcome," the man said, his voice a gentle rumble, "I have been expecting you." Relief washed over them, quickly followed by a sense of foreboding. This was Aditya, the guardian of the Chintamani. But where was the emerald's power? Where was the grand spectacle they had envisioned? Aditya ushered them inside the temple, its cool stone walls a welcome respite from the humid night air. The interior was surprisingly bare, adorned only with a single pedestal in the center upon which rested an unassuming emerald, its surface reflecting the moonlight with an otherworldly luminescence. This was the Chintamani, the emerald jewel rumored to grant wishes and glimpse the future. It seemed ordinary, far from the powerful artifact they had imagined. But as they gazed upon it, they understood the weight of its power. Aditya, his voice tinged with sadness, spoke. "The Chintamani's power is a double-edged sword. It grants wishes, yes, but at a terrible cost. The future it reveals is not always a pleasant sight, and the consequences of altering fate can be devastating." He spoke of past guardians, consumed by greed and ambition, their wishes twisting their lives into a tapestry of unintended consequences. A coldness crept into the room as Aditya recounted tales of broken dreams and shattered destinies. Vikram and Aditi exchanged a worried glance. The power they sought came with a heavy burden, the burden of knowing the future and choosing whether to alter it, with the possibility of unforeseen repercussions. This was not just a quest for power, it was a test of their character, a challenge to wield the Chintamani's power with wisdom and responsibility. As the moon cast its silvery light on the emerald, the true weight of the Chintamani settled upon them. Chapter 7 Trials on the Hooghly. The weight of Aditya's words hung heavy in the air of the temple. The Chintamani, the emerald jewel that promised wishes and glimpses of the future, was a double-edged sword. Now, they stood before its guardian, burdened by the knowledge of its immense power and the terrible price it could exact. Aditya, his gaze filled with a timeless sadness, spoke. "The Chintamani does not bestow its power lightly. You must prove your worthiness, your strength of character, and your ability to wield its power with wisdom." A spark of determination flickered in Vikram's eyes. He wouldn't back down now. Aditi, ever the pragmatist, placed a hand on his arm, her touch a grounding force. They were in this together. Aditya revealed the trials they must face. The first, he explained, lay on the churning waters of the Hooghly River, the lifeblood of Kolkata. They would navigate a treacherous course, riddled with hidden hazards and guarded by mythical creatures. Only with courage, resourcefulness, and a touch of luck would they emerge unscathed. The journey to the river bank was a blur. The rising sun cast a golden hue on the bustling city, a stark contrast to the serenity of the temple grounds. As they reached the banks of the Hooghly, its vast expanse stretched before them, a ribbon of brown snaking through the heart of the city. A small, weathered boat awaited them, its oars worn smooth by countless voyages. Taking a deep breath, Vikram and Aditi stepped into the boat, their hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Aditya, his figure silhouetted against the rising sun, raised a hand in farewell. "May the Chintamani guide you," he called out, his voice carried away by the morning breeze. The moment they pushed off from the shore, the river came alive. The gentle current transformed into a churning mass, waves crashing against the boat, threatening to capsize it. Strange creatures, half seen in the murky depths, surfaced with hisses and growls, their eyes glowing with an airy light. Vikram, ever the warrior, instinctively grabbed an oar, his muscles straining as he battled the current. But brute strength alone wasn't enough. As a monstrous tentacle rose from the water, threatening to engulf them, Aditi closed her eyes, focusing on the cool, calming light of the Chandrakanta. A vision filled her mind, a shimmering pathway through the treacherous waters, marked by luminous lotus flowers. With newfound determination, she steered Vikram towards the spectral blooms. The boat glided effortlessly along the path, the monstrous creatures parting before them as if in deference. As they emerged from the heart of the river, battered but triumphant, they realized the true power of the Chintamani. It wasn't just about brute force or wielding wishes, it was about using their inner strengths, their combined abilities, and the jewel's subtle guidance to navigate the challenges before them. Reaching the opposite bank, they emerged onto a bustling marketplace, the cacophony of vendors and haggling crowds a welcome change from the silent menace of the river. But their trials were far from over. Hidden within the labyrinthine alleys and ancient monuments of Kolkata lay cryptic riddles, testaments to the city's rich history. These riddles, Aditya had explained, were the key to unlocking the secrets of the Chintamani's true potential. With renewed purpose, Vikram and Aditi plunged into the heart of the city, their quest for the 5 jewels and the restoration of balance to the world just beginning. The trials on the Hooghly had been a harsh lesson, a reminder of the power they wielded and the responsibility it entailed. They were no longer just travelers or guardians, they were becoming masters of their own destinies, forever bound to the fate of the Chintamani and the whispers it held within its emerald depths. Chapter 8: A Fragile Alliance. The trials on the Hooghly had been a crucible, forging a bond between Vikram, Aditi, and Aditya. Vikram, his initial bravado tempered by the river's dangers, felt a newfound respect for the guardian's wisdom. Aditi, ever the pragmatist, saw in Aditya not just a guardian but a potential ally, someone who could guide them through the complexities of wielding the jewel's power. Aditya, his gaze lingering on the Chintamani nestled in Aditi's palm, seemed to see a flicker of hope rekindled within him. Perhaps, in these two unlikely heroes, he saw a chance to redeem the tarnished legacy of the emerald jewel. Back in the serene temple, bathed in the soft glow of evening lamps, a sense of camaraderie filled the air. Aditya, his demeanor less somber, offered them steaming cups of spiced chai. The fragrant aroma filled the room, a soothing counterpoint to the trials they had faced. "Tell me about the other stones," Vikram said, his voice eager. "The sapphire of illusions, the pearl of serenity, the amethyst of shadows, where can we find them?" Aditya, his eyes twinkling with a newfound spark, unfurled a detailed map, its parchment aged but the ink still vibrant. He traced routes with a weathered finger, each line leading them to a different corner of India, each destination promising a new challenge and a new guardian. He spoke of the sapphire of illusions, hidden within a forgotten kingdom nestled in the snow-capped Himalayas, its guardian a master of deception. He described the pearl of serenity, guarded by a reclusive sect of monks residing in a tranquil monastery high atop a treacherous mountain pass. As he spoke of each jewel, a sense of awe and trepidation filled the room. The quest before them was vast, fraught with unknown dangers. The conversation turned to a more immediate threat: the Obsidian Order. Aditya revealed their ruthless pursuit of the jewels, their leader, the Obsidian King, driven by an insatiable hunger for power. He spoke of their dark magic, their willingness to use any means necessary to achieve their goals. A wave of anger washed over Vikram. He clenched his fists, the Samantaka money burning hot against his chest. He wouldn't let these villains succeed. Aditi, ever the strategist, saw the need for a plan. "We need to stay ahead of them," she said, her voice firm. "We need to use the Chintamani to our advantage." Aditya, a hint of a smile gracing his lips, spoke of the jewel's subtle power, its ability to nudge them in the right direction, offering glimpses of potential dangers and opportunities. It wouldn't be a straightforward path, but with their combined skills and the Chintamani's guidance, they could outwit the Obsidian Order. As the night deepened, a hesitant agreement formed. They were an unlikely trio, a brash warrior, a resourceful scholar, and a melancholic guardian. But faced with a common enemy and a world teetering on the brink of chaos, they pledged their allegiance to each other. This was no longer just Vikram and Aditi's quest, it was a shared mission, a fragile alliance built on trust, respect, and a desperate hope for a brighter future. With the map spread before them and the Chintamani pulsing with a faint emerald light, they knew their journey was far from over. But for the first time, they weren't facing it alone. They had each other, and the potential for an alliance that could change the fate of the world. Chapter 9: Spice and Serpents. The humid air of Kolkata clung to them like a second skin as they boarded the train south, leaving the bustling city behind. Their destination, Nagarkoila, a vibrant town nestled in the heart of Tamil Nadu. Aditya, the weathered map clutched tightly in his hand, had revealed the location of their next quest, the Nagamani, the yellow pearl of serenity, rumored to be guarded by Shesha, a mythical serpent said to reside in a hidden temple deep within the snake-worshipping culture of the region. Vikram, ever the adventurer, leaned out the window, the vibrant tapestry of the Indian countryside rushing past. Lush green fields dotted with brightly colored villages stretched as far as the eye could see. The air was thick with the intoxicating aroma of spices, cardamom, cloves, and a hint of cinnamon, a stark contrast to the stale city air they had just left behind. Aditi, her hand resting on the Chandrakanta nestled against her chest, felt a wave of apprehension wash over her. Nagarkoila wasn't just a new location, it was a new culture, a world steeped in ancient rituals and deep respect for serpents, creatures often seen as harbingers of both protection and destruction. As the train rumbled into Nagarkoila station, a cacophony of sounds assaulted their senses. Vendors hawked their wares in a language peppered with Tamil words, their voices mingling with the rhythmic chanting emanating from a nearby temple. The air was alive with the vibrant hues of saris and the rhythmic sway of women carrying baskets overflowing with exotic fruits and flowers. Following Aditya's instructions, they ventured into the heart of the bustling town. Narrow streets teeming with people snaked their way past colorful houses adorned with intricate carvings. The rhythmic beat of drums and the haunting melodies of snake charmers filled the air, creating a mesmerizing symphony of sound and movement. Their quest led them to a hidden courtyard, its entrance guarded by a towering stone archway adorned with carvings of serpents. Inside, the air hung heavy with the scent of incense and the gentle trickle of water from a hidden fountain. An elderly woman, her face etched with the wisdom of years, sat behind an intricately carved wooden table, surrounded by baskets overflowing with vibrant spices and shimmering gemstones. Her eyes, the color of deep umber, held an otherworldly wisdom that seemed to pierce through them. Vikram, ever the brash one, stepped forward, the Samantaka money burning hot against his chest. He explained their quest, his voice resonating in the quiet courtyard. The woman listened intently, her gaze flitting between Vikram and Aditi before settling on Aditya. A flicker of recognition crossed her face. "Aditya," she said, her voice a gentle rasp, "you seek the Nagamani. But the path to Shesha isn't for the faint of heart." She spoke of ancient rituals, of offerings to appease the serpent god, and of trials that tested one's courage and respect for the natural world. A shiver ran down Aditi's spine. this wouldn't be a simple request. It would require them to immerse themselves in the local culture, to earn the trust of the serpent worshippers, and maybe even face a mythical creature face to face. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the courtyard, a sense of hope bloomed amidst the apprehension. This vibrant new environment, with its rich culture and potential allies, promised a unique challenge. They were no longer just travelers seeking jewels. They were becoming students, ready to learn the secrets of a culture that revered the very creature they sought to appease. Their quest for the 5 jewels had taken an unexpected turn, leading them deeper into the heart of India's rich tapestry, where myth and reality intertwined, and the fate of the world hung in the balance. Chapter 10: Deception in the Temple City. The rhythmic chanting of temple priests filled the air as Vikram, Aditi, and Aditya weaved through the throngs of devotees gathered in the heart of Nagarkoil's famed temple complex. Days of immersion in the local culture, participating in ancient rituals, and offering prayers to the serpent god had finally led them to the threshold of Shesha's domain. Excitement warred with apprehension within them. Shesha, the mythical serpent guardian of the Nagamani, was a creature shrouded in mystery. Was he a benevolent protector or a cunning manipulator, using the yellow pearl's power to control the serpent-worshipping populace? Following the instructions of the wise elder woman they had met earlier, they navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the temple, their senses bombarded by the heady aroma of incense and the flickering light of countless oil lamps. The air itself seemed to vibrate with an unseen energy, a potent mix of devotion and fear. Finally, they reached a hidden chamber, its entrance guarded by a pair of imposing stone serpents, their emerald eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. Taking a deep breath, they stepped inside. The chamber was dimly lit, the only source of light emanating from a single, flickering oil lamp. In the center, coiled upon a bed of fragrant flowers, lay a magnificent serpent. Its scales shimmered with an iridescent sheen, reflecting the dancing light like 1,000 scattered jewels. This was Shesha, a creature of myth made real. He raised his head, his amber eyes fixing on them with an unsettling intensity. Vikram, his hand instinctively reaching for the Syamantaka money, felt a surge of heat course through him, a primal fear urging him to back away. Aditi, her gaze unwavering, placed a calming hand on his arm, the Chandrakanta pulsing with a cool, reassuring light. Shesha spoke, his voice a sibilant hiss that echoed in the chamber. "Welcome, seekers. You come for the Nagamani, the pearl that whispers to serpents." His gaze shifted to Aditya, a flicker of something akin to amusement dancing in his amber eyes. "But are you worthy of its power?" Aditya, his voice steady despite the tremor running through him, explained their quest, the looming threat of the Obsidian Order, and the need to unite the 5 jewels to restore balance to the world. Shesha listened intently, his serpentine body coiling and uncoiling in a mesmerizing dance. A tense silence descended upon the chamber. Finally, Shesha spoke again, his voice laced with a hint of amusement. "The Nagamani's power is vast. It can soothe and heal, but it can also control and enslave. Are you sure you can handle such a burden?" A shard of ice pierced Vikram's heart. Was Shesha testing them, or did he have his own agenda? The Nagamani's power to influence serpents was undeniable. In the wrong hands, it could be used to manipulate the devout, turning the temple into a breeding ground for a fanatical cult. As they stood before the magnificent serpent, a chilling realization dawned on them. The Nagamani wasn't just a powerful jewel, it was a double-edged sword. Used for good, it could bring peace and healing. But in the wrong hands, it could unleash chaos and control. The weight of their decision pressed down on them. Trusting Shesha felt like walking a tightrope over a pit of vipers. Yet, they couldn't ignore the potential power of the Nagamani in their fight against the Obsidian Order. A decision had to be made, a gamble with potentially devastating consequences. The fate of the Nagamani, and perhaps the fate of Nagarcoil itself, rested on their shoulders. Chapter 11: Escape from the Coils. The chamber felt like a suffocating cage. Shesha's earlier amusement had transformed into a menacing glare. His umber eyes, once filled with a strange curiosity, now seemed to hold a glint of malice. Vikram's hand instinctively tightened around the Semantaka mani, its fiery glow a beacon of warmth in the chilling atmosphere. Aditya, his voice raspy with betrayal, spoke first. "Shesha, you promised. What is the meaning of this?" Shesha's forked tongue flickered. "Promises are for the naive," he hissed. "The Nagamani's power belongs to the strong, not to those who play at heroism." A guttural growl erupted from his throat, sending shivers down their spines. He lunged, his massive body coiling with surprising speed. Chaos erupted. The chamber, once a place of tense negotiation, turned into a battleground. Vikram, his reflexes honed by years of combat, dodged Shesha's snapping jaws, the Semantaka mani burning hot against his chest, granting him an unnatural agility. Aditi, with the Chandrakanta clutched in her hand, unleashed a burst of calming light, momentarily halting Shesha's advance. But they weren't alone in the struggle. Emerging from the hidden shadows of the chamber were cloaked figures, their shadowy forms radiating a dark magic. The Obsidian Order had arrived, drawn by the commotion and the promise of the Nagamani's power. A fierce battle ensued. Vikram, fueled by righteous fury, clashed with the shadowy figures, the Semantaka mani pulsing with power as it deflected their dark spells. Aditi, the Chandrakanta shimmering like a beacon of hope, used its calming energy to disrupt the Obsidian Order's magic, creating brief windows of opportunity for Vikram to counterattack. But Shesha remained an enigma. He seemed to relish the chaos, his attacks unpredictable, his motives unclear. Was he truly aligned with the Obsidian Order, or was he playing a more complex game? In the midst of the swirling chaos, a voice pierced through Thedin. It was the wise elder woman from the marketplace, her face etched with concern. The hidden passage. Behind the serpent statue. Seizing the opportunity, Vikram and Aditi fought their way towards the statue, dodging Shesha's strikes and the relentless attacks of the Obsidian Order. With a final surge of strength, Vikram shoved the statue aside, revealing a narrow tunnel shrouded in darkness. There was no time for questions. Grabbing Aditi's hand, Vikram plunged into the unknown, the tunnel swallowing them whole. The chilling hisses of Shesha and the distant screams of the elder woman battling the Obsidian Order faded behind them. They stumbled through the darkness, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The tunnel stretched endlessly, the damp air thick with the smell of ancient stone and something more unsettling, the faint scent of snake musk. After what felt like an eternity, they emerged into a hidden clearing bathed in the pale moonlight. Exhausted but alive, they collapsed onto the cool grass, the weight of their escape pressing down on them. As they caught their breath, a rustling sound came from the shadows. A figure emerged, Shesha. But his earlier hostility was gone, replaced by a weariness that mirrored their own. "You fought well," he conceded, his voice devoid of its earlier arrogance. "Perhaps I underestimated you." He paused, his gaze flickering towards the distant temple complex, where the glow of fire and the sounds of battle still raged. "The Obsidian Order will not relent. You need my power, and I need your courage." A tense silence stretched between them. Finally, Vikram, his voice raspy, spoke. "Why help us now? After what you've done?" Shesha remained silent for a moment, then spoke. "The Obsidian Order seeks to control. But I, too, see the consequences of their ambition. The Nagamani deserves a protector, not a tyrant." His words held a hint of regret, perhaps a flicker of the guardian he was meant to be. With a sigh, he uncoiled himself, revealing the magnificent yellow pearl nestled within his coils. Aditi, ever the pragmatist, stepped forward. We need a plan. The Order won't stop searching. Shesha inclined his head. Follow me. I know a place where the Obsidian Order wouldn't dare to tread. And so, an unlikely alliance was forged. Vikram, Aditi, and Shesha, bound by a shared enemy and the fate of the Nagamani, disappeared into the night, the battle for the 5 jewels far from over. The escape from Nagarkoila was a harsh lesson, a reminder that the path to restore balance would be fraught with danger, betrayal, and the constant need for caution. Chapter 12. Echoes in the Caves. Following Shesha, Vikram, Aditi, and Aditya navigated a labyrinthine network of caves hidden deep within the foothills bordering Nagarkoila. The air hung heavy with the smell of damp earth and the distant drip of water. The only light came from the faint glow emanating from the Chandrakanta in Aditi's hand, casting long, distorted shadows that danced on the rough cave walls. Shesha, slithering silently ahead of them, seemed to move with an unnatural grace in the darkness. Vikram, his hand resting on the Samantaka mani, felt a strange sense of unease crawling up his spine. This wasn't just any cave system, it felt ancient, imbued with an energy that pulsed faintly beneath the surface. As they ventured deeper, the cave walls began to be adorned with strange symbols. Carvings of mythical creatures, swirling constellations, and what seemed to be maps of forgotten lands danced before their eyes. The symbols, though unfamiliar, held a strange allure, whispering of a time before time, a history lost to the sands of ages. Aditi, ever the scholar, her academic curiosity piqued, traced the carvings with a trembling finger. These symbols, they seem familiar. Like echoes from ancient texts I've pored over. Aditya, his voice tight with a newfound urgency, stepped closer. The Caves of Echoes. Legends whispered of them among the Guardians, a place where the first ones left their mark. His words sent a shiver down Vikram's spine. The first ones? The beings who bestowed the jewels upon humanity? This was far more than a quest for power, it was a journey into the forgotten past. Shesha, his head whipping around to gaze at the carvings, spoke in a hushed voice. The Caves of Echoes. They hold secrets of those who came before, the beings who brought the jewels to this world. Vikram, his brow furrowed in confusion, stopped. First ones? What does that mean? Shesha's forked tongue flickered. Legends speak of beings from beyond the stars, who gifted these jewels to humanity. They were a source of immense power, but also a great responsibility. His words hung heavy in the air, adding a layer of mystery to their quest. The 5 jewels, once mere objects of legend, were now imbued with a cosmic significance. They weren't just stones, they were fragments of an ancient power entrusted to humanity. As they delved deeper, the caves began to open into vast chambers, their ceilings adorned with stunning murals depicting scenes of a forgotten age. Strange, ethereal beings interacted with humans, bestowing upon them the 5 jewels. But a sense of unease grew within them. The murals also depicted a cataclysmic event, a fiery destruction that engulfed both the first ones and the humans. The final image showed a single, cloaked figure, their face obscured by darkness, holding aloft a 6th jewel, pulsating with an ominous red glow. A sickening realization dawned on them. The 5 jewels were meant to be used together, for a purpose far greater than they had imagined. They weren't just tools for granting wishes or seeing the future, they were safeguards against a much greater threat, the power held by the 6th jewel, a jewel likely in the possession of their ultimate enemy, MYX. The weight of this revelation settled upon them like a shroud. The quest for the jewels had taken an unexpected turn, morphing from a mission to restore balance to a desperate struggle to prevent the return of an ancient evil. The stakes were higher than ever before. They emerged from the caves days later, blinking in the harsh sunlight. The world seemed different now, imbued with a sense of foreboding. They had a clearer understanding of the jewel's power, but also a terrifying glimpse of the potential consequences of their failure. The path ahead was fraught with danger. They had to find the final guardian, the one who held the sapphire of illusions, the last piece of the puzzle. But with every step they took, the shadow of the sixth jewel, and the being who wielded it, loomed larger, a constant reminder of the ultimate battle that awaited them. Chapter 13: The Crown of the Himalayas. The harsh sunlight glinted off the snow-capped peaks of the Zanskar range as Vikram, Aditi, Aditya, and Shesha finally reached their destination. Leaving the verdant plains of Nagarkoila behind, they had embarked on a treacherous journey north, the air growing thinner and colder with each passing mile. They stood at the foot of a colossal monastery, its whitewashed walls seemingly clinging to the sheer mountain face. Prayer flags in vibrant colors fluttered in the wind, their rhythmic dance punctuated by the distant chanting of monks echoing through the thin air. This was Shangri-La, a mythical paradise nestled in the heart of the Himalayas, rumored to be the abode of Kanika, the guardian of the Neelam, the blue sapphire of illusions. Vikram, his breath misting in the frigid air, pulled his cloak tighter around his shoulders. The majestic beauty of the Himalayas was undeniable, but it was a harsh and unforgiving landscape. Here, nature reigned supreme, testing their resilience with every step. Aditi, her face flushed from the climb, gazed at the imposing monastery with a hint of awe. The ancient texts she had devoured spoke of Shangri-La as a place of serenity, but also of hidden dangers and powerful guardians. Aditya, a flicker of hope sparking in his usually melancholic eyes, explained their purpose. Kanika is a recluse, but she respects those who approach her with pure intentions. We must prove ourselves worthy of her trust. Shesha, his serpentine body coiled loosely around Vikram's shoulders for warmth, hissed softly. Be wary. The mountains hold secrets, and not all are benevolent. With a deep breath, they crossed the threshold into the monastery grounds. The air inside the thick stone walls was surprisingly warm, permeated by the scent of burning incense and freshly brewed Tibetan tea. Monks clad in maroon robes scurried past, their faces etched with an air of serene detachment. Following a wizened old monk, they navigated a labyrinth of corridors adorned with intricate mandalas and prayer wheels. Finally, they reached a simple wooden door, its surface etched with swirling symbols that seemed to shimmer faintly in the dim light. The old monk bowed his head and spoke in a language that flowed like a mountain stream. The door creaked open, revealing a breathtaking vista. Perched atop a dizzying height, overlooking a tapestry of snow-capped peaks and emerald valleys, lay a serene garden. In its center, surrounded by blooming rhododendrons, sat an ethereal figure bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. She was Kanika, the guardian of the Neelam. Her long, silver hair flowed like a waterfall down her back, and her eyes, the color of a summer sky, held an ageless wisdom. This was no ordinary woman, but a being woven from the very fabric of the Himalayas. As their eyes met, a sense of calm washed over Vikram, easing the tension that had coiled tight within him. They had reached their destination, but the true challenge earning Kanika's trust was just beginning. Chapter 14: Strength and Serenity. The air in Kanika's garden crackled with a strange tension. Vikram, Aditi, Aditya, and Shesha stood before the ethereal guardian, their gazes locked with hers. Her serene beauty masked a warrior's spirit, honed by years of solitude in the harsh Himalayan environment. Kanika spoke, her voice like the tinkling of a mountain stream, yet possessing an undercurrent of steel. You seek the Neelam, the sapphire of illusions. But do you understand the responsibility it entails? Vikram, ever the impulsive one, stepped forward. We do. We need the jewels to restore balance and defeat NYX. Kanika's gaze flickered towards Shesha, a flicker of something akin to suspicion crossing her features. The serpent and the guardians? This is an unusual alliance. Shesha, his body coiled tightly, met her gaze with an unyielding defiance. Circumstances have forced us together. The threat of NYX is far greater than our past differences. A tense silence descended upon the garden. The only sound was the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant cry of a mountain hawk circling overhead. Finally, Kanika spoke again, her voice softer now, tinged with a hint of sadness. The Neelam is not a toy. It grants immense power control over water, the very essence of life itself. But like all the jewels, it can be a double-edged sword. Are you prepared to wield such power responsibly? Aditi, ever the pragmatist, stepped forward. She spoke of their journey, the trials they had faced, and the sacrifices they had made. She spoke of NYX's growing power and the devastation it would unleash if left unchecked. Kanika listened intently, her gaze flitting between each of them. It was a test, a subtle assessment of their strength, their purpose, and the unity they had forged in the face of adversity. Suddenly, the clear mountain sky darkened. Ominous clouds gathered overhead, casting long shadows across the serene garden. A cold wind whipped through the air, carrying with it the faint scent of ozone and impending danger. The Obsidian Order, Shesha hissed, his body coiling defensively. They have followed us. Kanika's eyes flashed with icy blue light. Raising her hand, she called upon the power of the Neelam. The wine transformed into a ragging torrent, whipping through the garden, tearing at the cloaks of the unseen intruders. The air crackled with electrical energy, a testament to the sapphire's power over the elements. But the Obsidian Order wasn't easily deterred. Dark figures materialized from the swirling mist, their eyes glowing with malevolent power. A fierce battle erupted within the tranquil heaven of Kanika's garden. Vikram, his Samantaka mani burning hot against his chest, unleashed a volley of fire, pushing back the shadowy attackers. Aditi, the Chandrakanta shimmering with protective light, deflected dark spells and created shields of pure energy. Shesha, his serpentine body a blur of movement, wove between the attackers, his razor-sharp fangs and powerful constrictions sending them flying. Kanika, a whirlwind of sapphire-infused energy, commanded the very elements around her, conjuring waterspouts that slammed into the obsidian-clad figures. It was a chaotic dance of light and darkness, a battle for the fate of the Neelam and the balance of the world. In that moment, their differences faded away. They were a team, bound by a common purpose, their individual strengths woven together into a powerful force. As the last shadow warrior dissipated into the swirling mist, a sense of exhaustion settled upon them. Kanika, her sapphire glowing softly, surveyed the wreckage of her garden with a sad smile. "You have fought with courage and unity," she said, her voice filled with a newfound respect. "Perhaps you are worthy of the Neelam's power." A smile spread across Vikram's face. But amidst the relief, a sobering truth dawned on them. Their journey was far from over. They had one final jewel to acquire, and the final confrontation with NYX loomed large on the horizon. But for now, they had found a powerful ally, and a newfound respect for each other's strengths. They were a team, and together, they were ready to face whatever came next. Chapter 15: A United Front. A sense of camaraderie bloomed amidst the ruins of Kanika's once pristine garden. Vikram, Aditi, Aditya, and Shesha stood shoulder to shoulder with the serene Kanika, the five guardians of the jewels finally united. The battle against the Obsidian Order had been a harsh lesson, a stark reminder of the dangers that lay ahead. But within the wreckage, a new resolve had taken root. The Zanskar monastery became their temporary heaven, a place of shared knowledge and strategic planning. Kanika, her sapphire glowing softly, revealed the secrets of the Neelam. It wasn't just a stone that controlled water, it was a conduit, allowing the wielder to tap into the very lifeblood of the planet. Vikram, his hand instinctively reaching for the Semantaka money on his chest, felt a renewed sense of purpose. The jewel pulsed with a comforting warmth, a constant reminder of the fiery power it held. Aditi, her mind a whirlwind of possibilities, spent hours poring over ancient texts alongside Aditya. Together, they sought to understand the true potential of the five jewels, piecing together fragments of forgotten knowledge that hinted at a power far greater than they had imagined. Shesha, no longer the enigmatic serpent, shed light on the history of the guardians. He spoke of the first ones, the celestial beings who bestowed the jewels, and the cataclysmic event that fractured their harmony. His words painted a chilling picture of Nyx's power and the importance of their unity. Days turned into weeks as they trained, honing their skills and learning to synergize their powers. Vikram, fueled by the Semantaka money, practiced channeling his fiery energy with newfound precision. Aditi, her connection to the Chandrakanta deepening, explored the jewel's ability to heal and manipulate light. Aditya, under Kanika's tutelage, mastered the subtle control of the Neelam, wielding the power of water with an elegance that belied its destructive potential. Even Shesha, his serpentine body coiling and uncoiling in a mesmerizing dance, learned to channel the Neelam's power through his connection to the natural world. A sense of camaraderie blossomed between them. Vikram, who had initially viewed Shesha with suspicion, now saw a powerful ally, a creature of ancient wisdom and cunning. Aditi, her academic mind challenged by Kanika's spiritual teachings, found a newfound respect for the power of intuition and harmony with nature. As the days turned to weeks, their individual strengths began to weave together, forming a tapestry of formidable power. They were no longer just guardians of individual jewels, they were a united force, a beacon of light against the encroaching darkness. News of their alliance reached the farthest corners of the world. Whispers of a united front, of brave warriors wielding the power of five jewels, ignited a spark of hope in the hearts of those oppressed by the Obsidian Order's growing tyranny. They were a symbol of resistance, a beacon of light against the encroaching shadows. But while their confidence grew, a sense of urgency gnawed at them. Nyx's power was undoubtedly rising, and they knew the final confrontation loomed large. They possessed four jewels, but the location of the fifth, the all-important sapphire of illusions, remained a mystery. The weight of their mission pressed down upon them. Yet, as they stood together beneath the majestic peaks of the Himalayas, a newfound confidence thrummed through them. They were not just individuals, they were a team, a united front against a world-ending threat. They would find the final jewel. They would face Nyx. And together, they would restore balance to the world. Chapter 16, The Obsidian Order Rises. A cold wind howled across the desolate plains, whipping sand and dust into a swirling vortex that obscured the horizon. Far away, within the obsidian fortress that served as Nyx's stronghold, a sense of dark triumph hung heavy in the air. News of the Guardians' reunion in Zanskar had reached Nyx, carried on the whispers of the wind. A flicker of annoyance, a rare emotion for the ancient entity, crossed her ageless face. The Guardians uniting was an annoyance, but not an insurmountable obstacle. Nyx, her form shrouded in swirling shadows, addressed the gathered members of the Obsidian Order. Her voice, a chilling rasp that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere at once, echoed through the vast chamber. "The Guardians have come together," she announced, her words laced with a hint of amusement. But their little alliance is nothing compared to the power we wield. A chorus of guttural growls and hisses erupted from the assembled dark figures, warlocks, necromancers, and creatures twisted by Nyxa's malevolent magic. Their eyes, glowing with an unnatural red light, pulsed with a dark anticipation. Nyx raised a hand, silencing the commotion. We will not strike at them directly. Not yet. Instead, we will show the world the true power of the Obsidian Order. With a flick of her wrist, a holographic map materialized in the center of the chamber. It depicted the sprawling continent, pulsing with a network of dark energy that snaked its way across the land, tendrils reaching out to strangle the few remaining pockets of light. The Nexus gates, Nyx hissed, her voice dripping with dark power. These ancient portals, once dormant, are awakening to my touch. Soon, they will open, allowing my armies to pour forth and engulf the world in eternal darkness. A wave of excitement rippled through the chamber. The promise of conquest, of unbridled power, ignited a dark fire in the hearts of Nyxa's followers. This was their moment. The world would tremble before their might. As the dark figures dispersed, eager to claim their assigned territories and activate the Nexus gates, a cruel smile played on Nyxa's lips. The Guardians might possess 4 jewels, but she held the upper hand. The world was on the precipice of oblivion, and only she held the key. Across the continent, the first tremors of Nyxa's dark magic began to manifest. Strange storms brewed in hitherto clear skies. Animals grew restless, their instincts sensing the encroaching doom. A creeping unease settled upon the hearts of people, a premonition of a darkness far greater than any they had ever faced. Meanwhile, in the Zanskar monastery, the Guardians felt the shift in the world's energy. A sense of urgency gnawed at them. Nyxa's move had been a bold one, a terrifying display of her growing power. They huddled together, their faces etched with grim determination. They had the 4 jewels, but the location of the 5th, the Sapphire of Illusions, remained a mystery. Without it, they wouldn't be able to confront Nyx at full strength. We need a plan, Vikram said, his voice tight with worry. We can't just sit here while Nyx unleashes her darkness on the world. Aditi, her brow furrowed in concentration, spoke up. The ancient texts mention a hidden library, a repository of forgotten knowledge. Perhaps the location of the 5th jewel lies there. Aditya, his eyes gleaming with a newfound hope, added, the texts also speak of a prophecy, a chosen one who will wield the combined power of the jewels to defeat the darkness. A tense silence descended upon the room. The weight of the prophecy settled heavily upon them. Were they the chosen ones? Did they possess the strength and the unity to fulfill their destiny? They looked at each other, a silent communication passing between them. Doubt lingered, but so did a fierce determination. They had come too far, sacrificed too much, to turn back now. With a newfound resolve, they vowed to find the hidden library, to locate the 5th jewel, and to face Nyx in a final, epic confrontation. The fate of the world hung in the balance, and they were the only ones who could tip the scales towards light.